and I've got my image so that I can see what the original colours were, and the only reason why your colours are out is because you were using a high ISO because of the whole flash situation. I'm in Lightroom now, and I'm just going to click on this, on your image here, and I'm going to go up to develop. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to crop. So I'm going to click on this tool here, and then I'm just going to rotate round like this, and I'm going to hold the shift key down, and I'm going to drag the end in here. I'm just trying to get him central to start with. I think that looks pretty good, and I'm going to click enter. Alright, now I think the easiest way of correcting the colours is by clicking on the eyedrop here and then clicking there. That doesn't look great, so let's just keep going because we're trying to get that nice like blue. Alright, I think I'm going to go so we can get some good colour that we can work with. I think I'm going to go with here. Let's just try. Okay, well I think it's better than it was anyway. So let me just explain what I did. The first thing that I ever do is go to this section here, and this is all to do with white balance. And so the image, if I just reset down here, the image was very green, so it's kind of like a greeny grey. So I want to get it back to the blues, and you see here we've got the temperature, so this is really warm and this is really cool. So we can kind of move this slider until we feel like it's a better blue than it was before, which actually I think that's really nice now. If we wanted to get it a bit more turquoise, like mine down here, we could try moving the tint slider towards the greens. So if I just bring it like here, and that's not bad actually. Maybe I'll just try a little bit more. It's going a bit too green now. So I think that colour's really nice, so we can work with that. Alright, crop tool again. I'm just going to like bring it over a bit more. See, I might just go up like this a touch and then go in like that. Okay, so we're pretty much good to go. It looks loads better already. This is a little magic tool here. It's called the eyedropper, and it's brilliant. Alright, and the next thing that we're going to do is look at the histogram here. So this is the shadows, the darks, and this is the highlights here, the bright end of the picture. So we can see it's majorly down into the darker section. So what I'm going to try and do first of all is just increase the exposure, see how much we can get away with. That looks pretty good. And then I'm going to try sliding the highlights up so we can just add a little bit of depth to your picture. So I'm just going to drag it up to like +38. And then I am, actually, you know what, your camera's done really good considering it's ISO 2000. It's pretty impressive. I'm going to not do that. We don't need to introduce any blacks into it because it's already down in the dark section, so I might just take it up a bit more. Maybe like that. Okay, so now I'm going to go down to here and I'm going to see if we can get away with some vibrance. So that it's probably a little bit too much, so just a little bit there. So I've upped the vibrance by +30. And then I'm going to see if I can change the colour of this teddy to match the other blues. I'm going to come down and I'm going to come down to the HSL panel here and I'm going to click on the blue. And can you see here you've got the option to change the colour blue. So you can either go towards the purple side of the blue, or we've got the turquoise side of things. So I'm just going to see if we can kind of, the only thing is it's doing all of it. Okay, so I'm going to just like put a little bit there. I'm going to take the saturation down just a bit on that, and then this one is the aqua color, and I'm going to just take that back to the blue again. So it looks like that. So now it looks pretty good. I'm just going to crop again because I feel like this is a little bit out still. Alright. The next thing I'm going to do is just address the colour of the baby's face, and it's got some yellows in it. So I'm going to come down here and click on the yellow colour, and then I'm just going to see what happens when I change this slider here. So now we're just selecting all of the yellows in the image, and we can see that if we slide it this way, it goes towards the greens, and we can now see where the yellows are in the baby's face. Or we can take it towards the reds, which is what we want to do. So now I'm just going to slide it towards the left and just make the yellows a bit more peachy. And then I'm just going to go into the oranges and just going to drop those down a little bit. So I'm going to take the saturation down of the oranges by -11, and then I'm going to go into the reds and up the saturation a bit on those ones. You can also move the slider here and here, depending on whether you want the reds to be more pinky or more yellow. So I'm just going to move it a little bit to the right. Actually, I'm going to leave it as it is. And I think I'm just going to take those yellows down a bit more. Take saturation down a touch more on that. Alright, and that is pretty much all I do here right now. So if we go in, you can see it's very grainy. There is an option here, if you scroll down, and you can go to noise reduction, so that may help, but the only thing is, you see here it goes a little bit blurry. So I'd be inclined just to do a tiny bit, maybe like 10, and then I don't think there's going to be too much we can do about that, but by the time we've smoothed the baby skin and everything, probably look fine. Okay, so that's literally all I would do in Lightroom. And now I'm going to click on this library menu here, and I'm going to click down here, which is export. Then this panel comes up. So we now need to tell Lightroom where on our computers that we want the image to be, so that we can edit it in Photoshop. So now I'm just going to go into here. So it says here export location. So now we're going to select a folder. I'm going to click choose, and then you just click on whichever file that you're using to save all your images. So you might be storing it in documents, for example, so you just click on there, but I'm in Google Drive. And I'm going to click on my TIFFs, and then I'm going to choose that folder, and then I'm going to put the baby's name in. So we can just type in the baby's name, which is John, And I know that I'm going to have to look up the surname. So John, Gazynska, and then space, and then I put how old the baby was, so 21 days. And then I'm going to just do a little dash, a little underscore, and then I'm going to add sequence in down here. So I'm just going to click insert. So that means that when it exports out, it's going to have the file name, and then every file is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So click done. Now I export out as a TIFF. You could use JPEG or you know, whichever, but I use TIFF. And then you just need to make sure. Well, I have this selected, so I have 16-bit component. Compression is none. And then I am going to export. Now if I go into Photoshop, and locate the file, and here it is. So I'm just going to open it. It looks pretty good. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is just get rid of these lines here. So you can, so now obviously now I'm in Photoshop, and you've got all these little tools down the left hand side which allow you to do all different things, and this is a really good one. It's called the Spot Healing Brush tool, and it means that you can place the cursor over different areas to erase them, but I'm just going to see if it works for this line. So literally I'm just going to take it across like this. That's done a pretty good job. You can just go back over any areas that didn't do so well. And then just going to go here. Alright, if it didn't do a very good job there, so I'm going to try doing it the other way. Okay. Alright, we've got this little marker, so we've got a few marks on here. So when the healing tool doesn't work, we can just move the cursor down to patch tool. And now we can take bigger areas and select the area first, and then we're going to say that I want that area to be the same as this area. If it doesn't work, it's okay. You just try and find another area. Alright, that's not bad. But you can just keep going over until you're happy with it. And now I'm just going to do the same with all these little areas. Sorry, I haven't used this blanket like this before, so I didn't realise it had so many little patches and stuff. Looks like a footprint. We liked that up there, didn't it? So I'm just going to try doing this up here. Take bigger areas, select an area that it likes. Let's try up here again. Nope. Nope. Right, I think that's as good as we're going to get there. Tricky fabric. So, all right, we'll leave it like that for now. As far as, you know, like the hat and prop and everything else, they actually wouldn't need to do anything else to that. The only thing that would need to do is look at the face. So I'm going to click on that healing tool, spot healing tool again, and I'm just going to click here. And I'm just going to go over any little areas, little flakes and spots and things like that you can just get rid of. Before I do the face, I am just going to change the colour of the hands. So I'm going to click on this quick lasso, quick selection tool, and I am just going to, I'm holding my finger down on the mouse, and I am just going to select just the hands, and then going to come up here to the adjustment layer, and then going to click on hue and saturation. And now I can just change the colour of the hands. So I'm going to go into the reds and just going to move it towards the yellows a little bit, just trying to match it up a bit more to the face. So this is before and after, so I think that's fine. And now for the face, now it potentially looks like, actually what's happened is it looks like the focus is a bit more here than in his face, but it's okay. All right, this is where I'm going to use the LSP LSP actions. So I'm going to click on actions here. Now on your USB, it has got instructions on how to import them, but what you can do is click on this little Hamburg sign here, and then go into new action. I think it's new action. Nope. Load actions. So, all right, let's just explain that again. Okay, so you're going to click on here, and then you're going to scroll down to load actions. And then you just need to find out where they are on your computer, you know, which can be anywhere. I have got, where have I got mine? I've got mine in Photoshop Actions, and then I would open the folder, and you see where you got this file, and it says ATN. You just click on that, and then click open, and then it will appear in Photoshop. So I've already got that one, so I don't really want to reinstall it. But then you've got in Photoshop, you have got all these different panes, and this panel is called the layers. Now if you haven't got any there, then you just to actually like bring them in, you need to click up here. You need to go up here to Windows, in the Windows menu up here, and then you just need to come down and click on, first of all, layers, and then you need to click on actions, and then you need to click on history, and then they will just appear in here. Right, I'm going to go into the actions, and this is the one that you have, Complete Baby Quick Fix. So I'm just going to double click on it. Oops. Skip that. Sorry, don't double click on it. Don't know what I'm talking about. All right, I'm going to click on this one. It's called the Complete Baby Quick Fix Workflow, and then I'm going to come down here and click on the play button, and then if we come over to here to layers, then we've got all of these amazing layers. You probably think, what the hell is that? But literally just the way I think I explained this to you on the day is it's a bit like you've got the picture, and then you've got layers of glass, you know, one layer of glass on top of the other, and it means that you can edit on the glass and it doesn't affect the image on the bottom until you flatten it. So these are like lots of different layers of glass, and they all do different things. So the first one I'm going to do is the soften skin. I'm going to make sure I click on this black mask here, and you've got this little magnifier, so it means we can just zoom in. So I'm on here, and then I need to come over here to the brush. Need to make sure it's white, and then this is the opacity, so this is how strong the effect is. So we're just going to like whack it up to 100 for now, and then using the bracket keys I can increase or decrease the size of the brush, and then I'm just going to go over it like this. So it's actually getting rid of a lot of that noise. Now when you're doing this, you want to avoid the lines. You don't want to go straight over the eye. You know, you want to be really careful where this goes, otherwise you lose all the characters in the baby's face. So I'm just going to come around here. You want to mind the edges. Like that. And the next one I'm going to go to is reduce the reds at 100%, and I'm just going to go over any areas where it's excessively red. I want to leave the lips and cheeks. I'm just going to go everywhere else, and then a little bit on the fingertips. And you can paint in some little cheeks if you want. So just going to take the opacity right down to 10, and then maybe a bit more. Just add some little pinky cheeks in there. I'm gonna. You can do that, but I won't do that. And then you've got paint away the yellow. So if the baby's a little bit yellow, this is quite strong. So you want to like drop the opacity down, and you know you can just go over, and it would reduce the yellows. And then you've got warm skin tone. So this is a nice one. So you can maybe just up the opacity, and then so that just warms up the skin tone. And then you can you've got bring back details. So this will sharpen any particular areas. I don't tend to do this, but unless the baby's got really long lashes, but you can just go along here. I'm just going to up it a bit more. Paint away shine is quite a nice one, which is here. So you know, if you've accidentally blown something out, or maybe there's some white in there which is blown out, then you can just click on the paint away shine. Make sure again you're on brush and it's on white, and then just say for example going over here, and then we've got darken areas and brighten up baby. So if it hasn't got that much depth to the photo, then you can click on here and then drop the opacity right down, and then we can kind of paint in where the actual shadow is. We don't want to be creating it, we want to just be enhancing it. So now we're just adding a bit of definition to the baby's face, like along the hairline. And if you think, oh no, I've done it wrong, you can just make sure you're clicking on the black and then switch this down here to black, and then you can just delete everything that you've done. Alright, and then you think, oh no, actually I really liked it, so you can just Control Z and bring it back. Now if you think it's a little bit too much, you can just drop this opacity down. So maybe we'll just have it like at that much. And then Brighten Baby obviously does the opposite, so we want to switch this back to white. And now we can just add some nice little highlights in if you want to. That was on 100%, so that was why it was very bright. So again, where the natural light is on the baby. I'm going to come back down here to reduce the red. Now if you feel like you didn't reduce the reds enough, you can come up here to the opacity and then you can increase it. So obviously I don't want to do it by that much because it all goes yellow, but you know, might increase it a bit to like 57%. Then just going to click on the magnifying glass and then zoom out and we'll see what we've done. So now we can see before and after, which is a major improvement. Okay. When I've done that, you want to kind of save where you've got to, because you might do something else and then you've ruined it and you need to go back to the place where you were happy. All right. This is why we need the layers, action and history menu. So we're going to come down here, going to go across to history and then click on this little camera icon down there. And now that's just going to take a snapshot. So this was the original image and now this is snapshot number 1. And now we can flatten it, because we're happy with that. Alrighty, so now what would I do now? Alright, I'm going to go into the adjustment layers and I'm going to click on this one, which is levels, and this is that histogram again. So this shows you how dark and light the picture is. Now we've got a little gap here, which is great. It means we can just like bring that along, and Photoshop is telling us how bright we can have the image, so without overexposing. So we can literally go safely to there. And now our baby's looking very nice indeed. There are loads of actions which are really nice on the LSP, which you've got here. So I'll just go through some of my ones that I like. This one here, which is lift grey eye sockets. So I'm going to zoom in. And again, it's on the black mask, which is correct. And we want to click on the brush here. Leave it at 17%. And now we can just kind of like add some. You don't have to just do it on the face, you can do it anywhere where you feel needs it. I'm just going to actually whack it up to 100 so you can see a bit more what it does. But it's a really nice action. Obviously that's extreme. Maybe you just like use a little bit like that. And then another one is add depth. So if we click play, I have it at 100%, and then just going to go over, and that just gives it a nice little pop. You can just keep it on the face. So if I took off this one, then we've just got the add depth. This one just the LSP, maybe neither of them. That one looks a little bit blown out there now. So, but it's a really nice one to use. If every baby, every scenario will have a slightly different situation, and you can just have a little play and see which ones you like. And what else have we got there? I think they're the ones I like the most from there, but there's loads and loads, so you can just like have a little play and see. I don't know if you've got this one actually, recover highlights, but you see how there, if it's like a little bit blown out, you can do it that way. Or in the paint away shine, when we done the hang on, if I just go back here to our snapshot, and then here, so paint away shine was the one that we could use to just like reduce some of the brightness if we want to. So like, let's have a look before and after. Depends what you like. I mean, I'm just going to keep it as it was. So I'm just going to use the black paint and paint back over this. Alright, and I'm just going to flatten. And if there's any little dots, you can just do that. Right, there's one other thing which I might try. And that is another one of the actions you've got is the smoothing action. So I'm just going to click play. So you'd need to install that one as well, exactly the same way as LSP. And I'm just going to click play and then just going to let it do its work. I don't know why mine's telling me that. Okay, so obviously it looks really crazy at the moment. But what it's effectively doing is smoothing the background. So that could be smoothing the background of the baby on a blanket or here. So the reason why I thought I'd do this here, because there was quite a few little marks and patches on the blanket that I used as a floor. So we'd never keep it at 100 opacity, all right? So the first thing I'm going to do is just lower the opacity so it's nothing, so we can see what we got before. And then maybe, I mean, if it was a baby on a blanket, you can have it like at 60, but I'm just going to bring it back for now. And now I just want to remove some of this to bring back some of the shadow. So I need to make sure it's on the black here. Oh. Black brush, 100%, and now I'm just going to start bringing some back. So here we have before and after, and you know, if you're really happy with it, then you know you could try upping it if you want to. So now it's like super smooth. I think it looks a little bit too much, but you can also lighten and darken just this background layer by clicking here. And if you do Command L, then we can just darken it or lighten it. So I've just lightened it a bit. I'm just going to take it down to maybe like 47, something like that. And then we can go into history, take a little snapshot. Did it work? Yeah, so we've got another snapshot now. And come over to layers, and then we can flatten. And if we still want to work on the color of this teddy, then we can use this selection tool to select the teddy. I'm going to do it a different way, sorry. I'm just going to use the lasso tool. So now I'm just going to manually just go around the teddy. You just need to make sure it's on the +1. So now if it's on here, if I try and do another one, it's just going to go, it's going to disappear. If I click on this one, it means I can add to it. So now I can add to it. Alright. And now I'm going to go into adjustment layers. I'm going to go into hue and saturation. I'm going to choose the blue, and then I can just now change the colour of the blue. Not really doing too much, is it there? Okay, so now we need to try cyan. So now we can actually just like get the exact match. And let me just explain. So we're going to just change the color of the blue. This, see here, the hue slider. So we can take it to the reds, take it to, you know, either end. But we want to make it more turquoise. So I just moved it a tiny bit to the left. And then if you want to reduce the saturation, you can just by a little bit. And that's it. So now it is like the perfect color. When you're cropping, this is the crop tool. When you're cropping, just need to make sure that it's on front image. So that if you was to say, you know, you want to crop down to like this, the image isn't going to get smaller. Front image means that it's gonna, no matter whether you like here or all of it, it's still going to be exactly the same size image as it was before. So I'm just going to bring it in a little bit. Now if you want to make it an exact ratio, you can click on this one here and you can use the 1:1 ratio, which makes it square, or a 5:7 ratio. So you can click the little arrows and it brings it around to the other side. So now this is going to be, it's not going to be 5 inches by 7 inches, it's going to be like 5:7 ratio. Like that. Or you might like the 8:10 ratio. Oh no, not that one. 8:10. Oops. Just going to take it out. It's more towards the square than the other one. It's actually a nice ratio to use. So this would be like a 8 inches by 10 inches ratio. And oops, so then it looks like it's a little bit, that looks about right. Okay, but I'm going to go back to the 7:5. Okay, now I'm just going to show you something. So let's just say you are, okay, let's say I want to move the image over like this, but now I've got this white section and I want to fill it in with exactly the same colour. Alright, so I'm just going to use this scenario then. Let's just say it's like that. And what I need to do is I am going to click on hang on, I'm just gonna like, yeah, and click on content aware. Sorry, hang on, that wasn't really a good example, sorry. Okay, not in this particular image, it wouldn't work. So what I'm going to just do is I'm just clear that. Right, I'm just going to like say that you needed to have more on this side. So then I would click the crop tool, click content aware, and then I am just going to drag it out like this. And like magic, it's done it. So if you want to go back to where you were before, you can just like click on these. And I think that was like my happy place. And then once you've done that and you're happy with it, then you can command save. And then you just close, file, close, oh, and it's because, oh yeah, file, close. And then you'd open up your next image. So these are the ones that we did whilst you were here. It's so cute. So for this one, we'd use the healing tool like this. And then I just want to make sure that all of this is actually white. So I'm going to come up here and do select subject. And it's selected the face and other things. So I'm going to just deselect that. Right, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do it manually like this. I'm just going to drag it over the baby's face. And then I'm going to do Command Shift I. Oh no. And then I'm going, sorry. Then I'm going to select and modify and expand by 12. Now we're going to do Command Shift and I. Adjustment layer. Click on Hue and Saturation, and then I'm just going to like take all of the colour out of that white fabric. So this is before and after. Then I'm going to flatten. We see we've got this little one here, so we can just use the healing tool on this one. And then the patch tool, just I can see some here. That looks pretty good. And then I will go into Complete Baby Quick Fix, play, and then come down to the bottom, do soft skin at 100%, zoom in a bit. So you can see in the baby's face here, it's got quite a lot of yellow in it, a bit jaundice, so we'll deal with that in a second. Just avoiding the lines. And then I tend to reduce it down to like between 60 and 70%. And then we're going to reduce the reds at 100%. So now I'm just going to go over these areas here. And then paint away yellow, because it's got quite a lot of yellow tones. So I'm just going to go like this. Bring back detail, so this is going to sharpen the eyes up in this instance. And then paint away shine, we don't need any of that. Maybe just add a tiny bit of darken. And we can do the same with the brighten. Now the reduce the reds, I'm just going to up the opacity, just see. So we do a little bit more. So it's before and after. If we've just like been too heavy-handed with the taking away the yellow and the baby's face looks a little bit too pink, then we can reduce the opacity of it. So I'm just going to do a little bit of 35%. And then you can do a little snapshot. So go into history, click on the little camera icon. Now it's saved, and then just going to flatten. I'm going to do Command L to see, so we can actually brighten it by this much, which is very nice indeed. And I'm also going to use this quick selection tool. Oops, not that one. No. Oh God. Object select. No. Quick selection tool. And I'm just using the bracket tool, the bracket key, to make the size of the brush bigger and smaller. And I'm going to select the face just so I can see how bright or dark that is. So I'm going to do adjustment layer levels, and you can see now actually we can bring the baby's face up a little bit brighter. Okay, and then we're going to flatten, and then we've got all these little like areas over here. I'm going to just try using spot healing tool, but it's because he's got these little lines, it's going to be a little bit tricky, but we'll see. Or alternatively, we can try using the smoothing action. So I'm just going to click. I'm just going to do Command D, and then I'm going to, okay, so it's got a bit confused with this one. The black is actually what we don't want to be smooth, and the white is what we do. So you can see it's like here, got that little black section, which is this section here. So I'm just gonna like up the opacity and just include this, and it looks really weird at the moment, and I don't even know if it's gonna work. All right, now I'm just gonna lower the opacity, so just take it down like this. Okay, so what I might do then is click on this one and then just take it off of this. And then, you know, that looks alright actually. So at 68%, probably looks better than it did before. You could maybe bring in some, or reduce the opacity here. Anyway, but I'm just like doing Command Z to like take it back to where we were. And then I'm just going to up my opacity just to like, alright, and then I'll show you before and after. So if we go back to history, and then we have before and after. Then I would just flatten and save, and then if there are other little annoying bits, then I could just try sorting those, but I won't worry too much about it. Okay, and that's it. So I hope that helps. I'll do some screen recordings as I go with my images, because like I said, I haven't even edited them yet, so I'm going to edit them this evening, and then I'll put the screen recording up in a few days, because I've got to ring a lady about a commercial shoot now tomorrow. All right then, any questions, just let me know. Bye.